Scheduled tasks allow us to execute tasks without user interaction at predetermined times. That's pretty handy. It's kind of like setting an alarm when you need a reminder to do something. So in this lab, we're going to learn how to do just that. We will learn how to create, modify, and manage scheduled tasks to automate specific actions at predefined intervals. Let's jump in. First, we need to access the task scheduler. If we go ahead and search for run to open up the run dialog, we can go ahead and type in task-sched.msc, and then we can click OK. The task scheduler will open after a moment or two as it has a lot going on under the hood. And it's in here that we can get access to create and manage scheduled tasks. And scheduled tasks allow us to use time or certain events to trigger an application or script to run. And a good place to start getting some examples or ideas, or just some general inspiration, would be the task library. On the left-hand pane after I expand the window, you can take a better look at it. It contains a list of predefined tasks and custom tasks created on the system. As you can see after I open up the folder, there are a lot of tasks available for us to get an idea of what's going on and maybe get an example or two from. But let's go ahead and create our own task. Let's select Create Basic Task on the right-hand pane under the Actions column. And after a moment, we'll be presented with the Create Basic Task wizard. And it's something of a guide to guide us through the task creation process. Let's give it a name of something like Test Task, and then we can hit Next. Now we need to select our trigger. We'll go ahead maybe and choose when I log on. That could be a good trigger. Next, we need to choose an action, so maybe start a program or send an email. We'll choose Start a Program. And let's say that we want to start PowerShell when we log on. Now, there's a couple ways we can find where the executable or the binary for it lives. If we navigate and kind of poke around, often we might consider that software lives within program files or the program files x86 folder. And we can see some of it exists, like PowerShell does exist in this folder, but the executable and the binary don't exist here, so we can't start a program. So there is another way we can locate where it actually lives on disk if we're not sure. Let's open up PowerShell now. So now that it's loaded, we can now go inside of the Task Manager. So I'm going to fire up the Task Manager now, and from inside of Task Manager, I can locate the process of PowerShell currently running, and then I can do a locate for where the executable or the binary lives on disk. So let's go and do that now. I'll right-click the PowerShell process over here, then I'll select Properties, and you can see there's a location. So that's showing us where the executable or the binary for the PowerShell process actually executes from. So let's copy that location, and then we'll go back inside of the browser here and then paste the location for where the PowerShell binary lives. Perfect. So let's scroll down through this list and we'll find the PowerShell application type file, which is the .exe, and that's the binary. Now if we hit next, we have one last chance to review our task if we want to make any additional changes. But if we're happy with everything, we can go ahead and select finish and be done with it. All right, that's as easy as it is to make a task. So let's test it. Let's reboot this operating system now. We'll select Start, go to the Power option, select Restart, hit Continue, and off we go. Now just let it do its restart and do its automatic reconnect. We'll see a little connection. Awesome. Okay, so the moment of truth. If everything was configured properly, we should see a PowerShell window pop. And there it is. Awesome, so that's it. So we've created a task that whenever we restart the computer and log on, PowerShell will start up for us. So that's kind of handy if we need to access PowerShell right away every single time. So the next step would be, let's go and find out where our task is living inside of the task scheduler. We'll go to run again, run the same task-sched.msc command, and let's go and expand this window so we have a bit of a better viewport. And then on the bottom pane, we should see a list of our total tasks running on the system. And if we scroll through it, we should be able to identify our test task. Bit of a tongue twister, but we should be able to find it over here. And there it is. That's our task. So now we can do a little bit of task administration. If we wanted to identify all the running tasks, we can select the Display All Running Tasks option on the right pane under the Actions column, and that will give a list of all running tasks. From here, we could go and select a test task and end it. Cool. Now let's go ahead and see where we can do that by the menu options at the top as well too. If we select the Actions menu and then select Display All Running Processes, we'll get back to the same location. So just in case if the right pane is missing or out of view, we can also select it from there. Now let's get more of a specific view of the test task itself by double-clicking it from the bottom pane, and it will open up another window here where we can see more specific areas to modify or inspect the task itself. With inside this view, at the bottom pane, we can just glance over some of the options that the task has been configured with. We can't modify it from here though. We'll have to select the task itself and then select Properties on the right-hand column under the Selected Item drop-down menu. And don't mind me narrating a little bit slower here, it's just there's a lot of buttons and things for you to look at as the user, so I want you to take your time and get used to the general UI and layout. Cool, so we can select different things like change privilege, we can adjust the actions and triggers that we saw when we initially set up the task, including the schedule as well. Now back on the right hand pane again, we can disable the task by selecting disable. This way it won't run anymore, so you can see the status column here at the top, it says disabled. This way it won't actually run on logon anymore. And of course selecting enable back on the right hand pane will put it back to a ready state and enable that logon. This is also a great area to test what we configured. So on the right hand pane, if we select run, it will run the task that we configured. So this is good for troubleshooting and testing, making sure that we have the task scheduled just how we would like it to be. And we can also export the task. And this is good for building and developing the task maybe somewhere else in a safe environment. And once you're happy with it, you can export it, save it to a file, and then bring it to where you want it to be. Or just generally share it with others if you're happy and confident with the results. So let's walk through how we would do that and delete the task from the right-hand column, select yes, and now on the top right, we can see import task. Let's select that and then navigate to where we just saved it and bring the task back inside. Cool, and now notice that we're presented with another pop-up menu here to do some final configurations, maybe change privilege like we just checked off, hit OK, and the task is ready to go. So one final check, let's just select run now from the right-hand column, looking good. And that's how you manage tasks in Windows. It's really straightforward, right? All the options are ready and available for you. Lots of different ways to configure things. So feel free, maybe if you're running Windows at home, you can go and trick out your operating system and have it log on, and maybe you can start all the applications that you use when you normally use it. Fire up Chrome and a bunch of other things and have some fun with it.